appear before a Georgia Senate committee without a subpoena?
Well, first of all, I don't even think they have the authority to subpoena me, but they need to learn the law.
So will you appear, yes or no?
I will not appear to anything that is unlawful. And I have not broken the law in any way. I said it, I'll say it amongst these leaders. I'm sorry folks get pissed off that everybody gets treated evenly.
All right. I think she answered that very well.
2 days later.
Some breaking news. A Georgia appeals court has now agreed to take up the Trump team's appeal of the Fani Willis disqualification ruling. Now, a lower court had already ruled that Willis can remain on that case. So what happens there now?
So the Trump team wants to appeal the decision. They would like Fani Willis kicked off the case entirely. The judge has ruled that Fani Willis could stay as long as her former paramour, Nathan Wade, was removed from the case to avoid even the appearance of any kind of a conflict. So he's off the case. Fani Willis is on. The appellate court has agreed to take up the matter. They haven't, agreed to any decision, but they've at least agreed to take it up, which is yet one more delay for a case that still does not have a date to start trial.
So, Con, what does this do, these delays do, given we're 6 months away from the election now?
I think, Diane, that's a great question. And ultimately what it does is it guarantees that the only case that's going to trial out of these three criminal cases, the documents case, the Fani Willis case, January 6th case, is ultimately the case that's now before the judge and jury in New York State.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We gonna be drowning in liberal tears, boys. We gonna be drowning, okay? Because the salt must flow. The salt must flow, okay? We're gonna have liberal tears for days, okay? We're gonna... Bruh, we're gonna have another great flood, okay, with all these liberal tears. You better learn how to swim right now, because if you don't, you will be drowning. That's how much these liberals are gonna be crying, right? Yo, let's fucking go. Okay, we out here. Guys, okay. So obviously, you know the news. Fani Willis, Fannie Pack Willis, her RICO case against Trump, the trial has been delayed yet again, okay, because the Georgia appeals court has decided to hear Trump's disqualification case against her after the cowardly Judge McAfee decided that Nathan Hot Dog Wade must remove himself from the case, or Fani Willis has to remove herself. And if Fani Willis had removed herself, then the whole case would have fell apart, which is, again, the primary reason why she didn't do it, okay? So she stayed on, even though she should have been removed. However, what is left is an odor of mendacity, a.k.a. we smell a liar, okay? A liar. That is what Fani Willis is. And the Georgia appeals court has decided to hear the appeal from the Trump team in regards to the disqualification case. Now, again, worst case scenario at this point now, the trial is delayed until after the election. Best case scenario is that they dismiss the case altogether based off the clear and obvious fact that Fani Willis is conflicted and she also lied to the court. Okay, she lied to the court about her relationship with Nathan Wade and when it began, and she lied on the oath, okay? And this is all the more reason why she can't be trusted, why she must be removed. And if she gets removed, then, again, the case will fall apart. So, again, let's hope that this case falls apart altogether, but at least right now, this is a small W, right? But kind of a big W, too. It's a medium W, okay? It's a medium W because this essentially guarantees that all of the cases that people actually care about in regards to Trump, they're not happening before the election, okay? And again, there are going to be a lot of tears, okay? You got to fill up one of my racist mugs that you can get at my website with all the liberal tears, okay? The liberals should not worry about climate change as the main cause of sea level rise. They actually should be worried about all that crime they're going to be doing, right? That is what it's going to. That's the real issue, right? That's the real threat. So again, we need to react to MSNBC, who you guys all know. Okay, they're coping, okay, with this sad news, and the way that they're reacting to this tells you everything you need to know. Okay, because the case is not over, but for them, it practically is over because the whole point was to have these trials happen before the election, for Trump to get convicted before the election. But it looks like that's not going to happen when it comes to any of the trials people actually care about. So without further ado, let's get into this.
Let's get right to the breaking news out of Georgia and Donald Trump's election interference case there. An appeals court has just announced it will review the judge's ruling to let prosecutor Fani Willis stay on this case. Trump and his co-defendants want to remove her from the case because of her personal relationship with the former top prosecutor. And joining us now, former U.S. attorney and MSNBC legal analyst Joyce Vance. Joyce, this is the appeals court now reviewing the judge's decision to let Willis stay on the case. What does this really mean? What's the process going to be now?
Right. So this is what's called an interlocutory appeal on an appeal that takes place before trial. And the Court of Appeals wasn't obligated to hear this appeal. The decision this morning is that they will, in fact, take the case.
As they should. As they should. And again, you know, the mainstream liberal media, they're going to melt down about this the same way they melted down about Judge Cannon, Eileen Cannon, essentially delaying the classified documents case indefinitely. Well, she needs to hear all of the motions from the defense to have the case dismissed. She needs to consider these motions seriously because that is her job as a judge. We're talking about prosecuting the former president of the United States. This is not something that you should be taking lightly, okay? Every defense that the defense is using should be considered, right? And that's essentially what's happening here in Georgia, where they're considering this motion, this appeal from the Trump team, because again, you're talking about prosecuting the former president of the United States. This is not something where you need to do a rush job. You need to be expediting. No, you need to take as much time as possible because you have to get this right, because our republic is at stake, okay? And again, they can't get this wrong, okay? They can't just make this a rush job, which is what the liberal media wants. They're quite literally rooting for the courts to just expedite everything. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. That's not how it should work. In fact, we shouldn't even be having these trials or these cases in the first place because Trump didn't do anything wrong, okay? But since we're having them, we definitely should not be having any trials right before the election, okay? That definitely shouldn't be happening, right? So, again, these people, they're upset because they're not getting what they want fast enough, which is hilarious to me because none of these people are boohoo whining and crying about the slow walking of Hunter Biden's cases, right? None of them out here like, why has Hunter Biden not been found guilty yet, right? Why are they not moving forward with his cases fast enough? Notice how they don't have any problems with his cases being slow walked, right? But they got a problem with what's happening with Trump. Again, it's amazing how that works.
It's taken them weeks to make the decision simply to hear the case. That means we're more likely in for months before they decide whether the trial judge got it right when he said Fani Willis could stay on the case. If that decision happens months out, whichever party loses is likely to take an appeal to Georgia's Supreme Court, and that effectively means that this trial will not take place before the election.
So whatever happens, whether Trump loses the appeal or wins the appeal, it will be appealed again to the Supreme Court, which again is going to take a lot more time for them to actually really get this settled, right? So again, this is over, right? Effectively, it's over, okay? As far as the mainstream liberal media is concerned, hilarious.
Joyce, Nathan Wade, the person who was a special prosecutor she had brought on, who she had this relationship with, he just gave an interview to ABC News over the weekend, and I want to play part of what he said.
Workplace romances are as American as apple pie. It happens to everyone.
Do you think that you've done any kind of damage to this case?
None at all.
Even the public perception of it?
There again, this takes me back to the initial statement that I made. My private life became the focal point of the case. And my private life has nothing to do with the merits of that prosecution.
Wow, this guy's an idiot. The fact that he continues to talk, despite almost basically sabotaging the case. I mean, the judge straight up called Nathan Wade a liar, right? He didn't do that to Fani Willis because he knows exactly what would happen, like the implications of that, okay? He damaged her enough. He danced around calling Fani Willis a liar, but he just straight up called Nathan Wade a liar. This liar goes on the mainstream liberal media to claim that workplace sexual relationships apparently is American as apple pie, right? Like, this is something that's normal. No, I don't think that's normal, okay? I think you should be a professional, right? I don't think you should be sleeping around with your boss, right? With a woman that's paying you to prosecute her political opponents, right? But again, I'm glad you did, right? I'm glad you did, because if you didn't do it, then we wouldn't be here right now, right? So, hey, thanks to Nathan Wade for being a useful idiot. Thanks to Fani Willis for not having enough discipline to keep your legs closed, okay? Because your personal decisions have essentially sabotaged his case. And that's the most hilarious part, right? Fani Willis is basically about to be the one that's on trial, right? This whole thing has turned around on her. Instead of Trump being on trial, she's now on trial, right? She's the one having to answer the questions, not Trump. That's the hilarious part. Again, going into an election for her, okay? Again, this is so funny. This is so funny. This is karma, right? This is karma. This is exactly what happens when you abuse your power to go after your political opponents. It only can happen this way, right? It only can happen this way.
Joyce, will the appeals court agree?
Well, look, Mr. Wade is entitled to his opinion, but prosecutors are held to and have to hold themselves to a higher standard of conduct. The decision here, may well be that there is some problem, but the trial judge saw fit to cure any issues by saying that Willis could stay on the case as long as Wade didn't. That was a good split the baby solution, and it wouldn't be unexpected if the Court of Appeals affirms the trial judge here.
And just the fact that the appeals court decided to take this, didn't just swat it away, what does that tell you about where this could be headed?
Yeah, I don't read anything substantive into this decision. I think this case is high profile. It's political. Georgia has elected state appellate courts. It's not surprising that they would feel obligated to hear this case rather than just to let it ride.
Yeah, so again, this is worst case scenario for the mainstream liberal media, to be quite honest with you, because now the important cases, the classified documents, the January 6th case, and the RICO case, it's not happening before the election, right? For the most part. Okay, that's like no chance. The one that is happening right now, the hush money trial, nobody cares about that case. And honestly, this is the one where if Trump is actually going to get a W in regards to being found not guilty, then this is the one, okay? Because this is the most ridiculous of all the cases. All of them are ridiculous, but this one is the most ridiculous, okay? It's so ridiculous now that you have MSNBC officially becoming a parody of themselves because they're so desperate to get some type of conviction against Trump that Lawrence O'Donnell basically went on his show and started simping for a porn star, simping for Stormy Daniels, essentially comparing her to a modest nun, because it seems as if now this is their only hope. This is their last hope of getting anything against Trump before the election. Take a look.
Well, the excitement and anticipation in the room hit a new high at 10:32 a.m. She entered wearing all black, as if on her way to a funeral. The loose-fitting, plain black clothing draping from her shoulders to her toes suggested the modesty of a nun. The makeup was minimal, the way she and the other moms in her neighborhood might look when shopping at the local grocery store. The long blonde hair held up with a clip at the back of her head, the way it might be in a utilitarian way while she was doing dishes or checking one of the horseshoes on her horse, she later spoke of so proudly. When she walked by him, her face had the same expressionless, somber look that all the jurors always have when they walk by him.
Yeah, so MSNBC has become a parody of themselves, okay, because essentially this is at all-time low. They're comparing a pornographic actress to a nun. Again, this is the desperation that we have here for the mainstream liberal media. They're trying to sympathize with an adult actress. This is what they're doing. openly on their network as if she is a credible person, right? Clearly she's not. So, look, this is just hilarious to me. It's just so funny how all of this has turned around on the media. Not only have these cases backfired in the sense that they made Trump more popular, but it looks like these trials are just not going to happen in general, right? At least the ones that people care about. Now, again, when it comes to this Stormy Daniels case, the hush money trial, this one is the one that Trump is most likely to beat. So, again, it's not a shut and close case. Again, it is based off some fringe legal theory that Alvin Bragg revived from the dead and basically made what would be misdemeanors felonies in order to go after his political opponent. Clearly and obviously fraudulent behavior. Clearly and obviously behavior that Alvin Bragg should be thrown in prison for, to be quite honest with you. He should be prosecuted. In fact, all these people, all these DAs, including Jack Smith, should be prosecuted under RICO, okay? Because they're all colluding together to go after Trump. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. And now it's all falling apart because you have some semblance of integrity in the judicial system. And I'm not saying that the whole judicial system is like that. Clearly, there's a lot more work that has to be done, but I'm just saying, you know, these federal judges, okay, that Trump appointed, whether it be the Supreme Court justices or the circuit court judges, I'm just saying, right, they seem to be the last line of people within our institutions that are standing between the Democrats and overthrowing our republic, okay, because without them, it will be over, right? It's just over, okay? I mean, that's what will happen. So, hey, good news, guys. Medium W, right? So, you know, it's a good day to be happy and to celebrate and drink some liberal tears. So, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.